It is 6:30 p.m., Tuesday, November 21st, 2023. Call to order the City of Franklin Common Council meeting. Madam Clerk.
Mayor Nelson.
Here.
Alderman Holtfer.
Present.
Alderwoman Eichmann.
Present.
Alderman Hassan.
Here.
Alderwoman Day.
Here.
Alderman Barber.
Aye.
Alderman Craig.
Here.
Excellent. All here. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, as we go into item B for citizen comment period, I'd like to read two things that are, one has been put back there. These are some copies, something under Chapter 19, Council Proceedings. These are laminated and kept up at the podium, and there's a reason for this. We want to make sure that we are all respectful of everyone else's time. So I'll read this verbatim. This has also been on the screen. City of Franklin meeting rules of decorum for attendees and participants for those attending City of Franklin meetings. Number 1, respectful and orderly conduct is expected at all times. Number 2, disruptive or unruly behavior, including but not limited to clapping, verbal disruptions, signs, and outbursts will not be tolerated. For those wishing to speak during City of Franklin meetings, important, number 1, approach the microphone when the chair opens the floor for citizen comments. State your name and address for the record. Address your comments to the Common Council, Board, Commission, Committee only. That means looking forward. Limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. I'll read that number 4 again. Limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. Number 5, no endorsements or electioneering are allowed. Number 6, speakers shall refrain from presenting unduly repetitious, offensive, threatening, slanderous, defamatory, or obscene remarks. Number 7, persons wishing to speak as a spokesperson on behalf of a neighborhood, which we've had, subdivision, homeowners, condominium, or business association, or similar group with common interest, shall demonstrate their qualifications to do so according to City of Franklin Resolution Number 2007-6227 before speaking on that body's behalf. Number 8, questions may be answered immediately by the chair or referred to city staff for a future reply in a timely manner. Those not adhering to these rules of decorum for attendees and participants will be asked to leave or be removed from the meeting if necessary. We'll now transition into the Chapter 19 Council Proceedings, 19-2, Order of Business. There's copies back there. Excuse me here. The agenda of Business Council shall be conducted according to the agenda prepared by the clerk. All matters intended to be placed upon a regular meeting agenda shall be submitted to the clerk no later than 9 a.m. on the Friday during the week preceding the regular Tuesday meeting, and the clerk shall distribute the agenda to common council members no later than 5 p.m. on the Friday during the week preceding the regular Tuesday meeting. No matters may be otherwise added to the agenda, excepting those which are emergency in nature and could not have been submitted to the clerk prior to the aforesaid deadline. The clerk shall determine whether an item is emergency in nature, which determination shall consider whether, absent the consideration of such matter at the forthcoming meeting, harm may result to the health, safety, and welfare of the community. Irreparable harm may result to the applicant or some other individual or entity, or whether the subject matter being appropriate to council determination would become moot, unavailable, or preempted. B, citizen comment period. Every agenda of city council meetings shall include, immediately following roll call, an agenda item entitled Citizen Comment Period. Such agenda item shall authorize any person to address the city council. Number 2, during the citizen comment period, no person shall speak for longer than 3 minutes at each council meeting unless the council shall direct otherwise to an individual. City council direction may take the form of unanimous consent. That's under here where it says amended 3/5 of 2002, and it states the ordinance. Nothing contained in this subsection is intended to limit in any way the right of the electorate to petition or in any manner contact city government officials. Thank you. Copies are in the back, laminated up in the front by the microphone. At this point, we will now open citizen comment period. Any citizen wishing to speak, please approach the podium, state your name and address clearly for the record. Our city engineer will keep the clock and advise when it is 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephen Green, 6521 South 123rd Street, Franklin, Wisconsin. Good evening, Common Council.
Recording in progress.
Good evening, Common Council. I'm here to talk about city water for Hill Park. I've been an advocate for it. I'd like to say that I'm going to change my position now. And the reason I'm going to change my position is basically about being a good neighbor. Most of the people in my neighborhood do not want city water, and I have heard it loud and clear. I've gotten nice letters. I wouldn't say so nice, but I have gotten nice personal letters. Even my mother-in-law is against the city water. I got to make her happy, right? If the wife's not happy, then nobody's happy. So I truly believe that you should be a good neighbor. I truly believe in standing up what the majority wants. I can't be a selfish person. So as of right now, I'm asking the council not to pursue this matter any further. I know that Glenn is going to have a meeting, the city engineer, on the 11:30. I will not be attending that meeting. At this moment right now, I'm going to relinquish all rights to pursue that matter. As I said, I stand with the people. I believe in being a good neighbor. I'm the type of person that you can call me up at 3 o'clock in the morning and tell me that your well is overflowing or something's wrong in your house, and I'll be there. So that's where I stand, and that's where it ends. Thank you very much, Common Council.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Anyone else wishing to speak at this time?
Danella McAdams, 8735 West Hawthorne Court. So I think in here you said you could answer a question. Is that what I heard?
I can answer, or I can direct staff to answer in a timely manner, not tonight.
Okay.
If you have something that I can answer, I'll gladly answer it.
Okay. So I appreciate the attention that has been being paid to our issues with the noise with the rock. So I do appreciate that. And the one thing that I have not heard in your updates, though, is what is happening with the decibel level at 79. Is that being looked at, or because that's really the crux of the whole thing? So I don't know if you can answer that, if that's in your plan when you give us an update tonight, or if that can be addressed where that's at a different time. But
Should I answer that now?
sure, yeah,
Okay.
I love that.
So, well, it's not going to be tonight. The answer for that's going to be as that work group moves forward with the city attorney, director of administration are leading that charge. So you will have an update on that in the near future.
So that is being addressed, because that
Absolutely.
truly is the whole crux of the issue.
We're going to be going into all those issues,
Okay.
but that's one of them. It's like we always say in the city, we've got many priorities, but that's one of them. So we've got many priorities with this,
Sure.
and that's one of them.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Andy Kleiss, 6025 Parkview Road. I was just curious, there was a recent letter or email that was sent from about 30 neighbors, kind of just asking questions and sharing concerns about the noise issues at the Rock. It was sent just last week, but I didn't see that it was included by the city on the agenda under Section F, the letters and petitions. I was just curious, at some point, will you guys be addressing that specifically? A lot of these questions and concerns that surrounding residents have?
I'll answer it as far as questions and concerns that were emailed in. I believe it was last Thursday, Ms.
Yeah.
Gint, last Thursday, when that came through. Yes, they will be addressed.
Okay.
And whether it's a short answer or an in-depth answer, they will be addressed.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Then one quick thing. I see there's a special common council meeting on November 28th. What's special about that?
Budget,
Budget? Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak? If not, I'm going to close, open.
Dana Gint, 9011 West Hawthorne Lane. I want to point out to you again, which I pointed out at several other meetings, that it says this is an administrative City of Franklin policy and procedures. Any items scheduled on an agenda of the Committee of the Whole or the Common Council meeting must include all attachments and any documents related to the subject matter. This policy shall apply to all city officials, both elected and appointed. So the agenda item G1 that has updates from the noise clearly does not have any associated information being presented to the public that we can have intelligent questions and comments regarding. So that's very concerning to me. And at the previous meeting, there was this packet that was sitting next to the agenda station that was not included in the public packet either. And this information is kind of misleading. It says like 8 hours is a permissible decibel level at 90. The World Health Organization and the CDC in 2010 designated that 70 decibels is the appropriate for 8 hours of the day. And that's obviously for hearing protection for occupational work. That's for factory work, construction workers. That is not to protect people from annoyance. That's actually to protect from hearing damage. So it's a totally wrong standard to be using and reviewing for something that's outdoor ambient noise that impacts residential neighborhoods. I can read you the World Health Organization information if you want that. I have that here. The other question I have is that in the Bad Acts proposal from the Planning Commission packet from November 9th mentions, I think this is page 2, staff has continued review and consider the language within PDD number 37, and that there's errors in the PDD 37. So my question is, we have brought up numerous times that there's issues with the PDD related to noise. Why is that not being discussed at any of these meetings, including the Committee of the Whole meeting didn't even present the whole PDD information at that meeting, which includes, this is page 9, the district intent of the Rock Sports Complex, which will be a multi-sports complex where the recreational needs of the area residents can be met without undue disturbances of adjacent uses. And in that regard, the entire sports complex area in general and the existing ball fields and designed proposed stadium in particular shall employ superior lighting and sound systems as to minimize potential adverse impacts upon adjacent properties. So clearly that hasn't been complied to. That's in the PDD. That wasn't discussed at the Committee of Whole meeting and hasn't been discussed at any meeting. And this is noise. It's noise section right in the PDD. It says all noise levels must be in compliance with sections 15-31107 of the municipal ordinance and the municipal code, which is 183, which is the disorderly conduct. So I will read those for you, since it appears that people do not read this information.
We got 3 minutes, Ms. Ginn. 3
Okay,
minutes.
183.
Thank you very much for your comments.
Well, when you guys start following your ordinances, following your ordinances,
Finish it real quick, Dana. You're welcome. to.
Sure.
Quickly, don't.
yes.
Right.
Okay, for the Bad Acts thing, I did have 2 questions at the Planning Commission. I'm not sure you're aware of this, but there's a standard in your municipal code, that's 12110, that says no person shall be granted a tavern entertainment license if the licensed premises are located within 1,000 feet of any residential district or public park. So obviously that was not complied to for the Rock Sports Complex, and it's not being complied for the 3 Cellars facility in the Bad Acts development. So that needs to be, because obviously there's going to be residential properties right above that. So that's not meeting the 1,000, and maybe that's a question
That
for
was
this.
discussed at plan, so I will get somebody to give you a detailed answer on that.
Okay, but it
enough.
wasn't really discussed at Planning Commission.
Well, yes, I didn't dream that. I heard that
Right.
come out, so
Right.
it was discussed.
But there was no answer given. That should be a
Well, it was
legal
talked
question.
about and discussed, and you'll get an answer.
Okay, thank
We'll
you.
assure you that.
And I would love to follow your, ordinances about being limited to 3 minutes, but when you guys start following your ordinances and laws, maybe then we'll be more cooperative.
you.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else wishing to speak at this time? If not, I'll close it out. Seeing no one else up, moving to item D as in David, hearings, we have none. E, organizational business, we have none. F, letters and petitions, we have none. Going into G1, update on the noise. Sorry. Oh, approval of the minutes. We'll go back to C. Charles. Approval of the minutes, regular common council meeting of November 7th, 2023.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a first, second by Mr. Holfer. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Now going up to G1, Mr. Witalski, you are here. Please speak on where you're at with our issues.
Yes.
Is that on?
Not yet, hold on.
Think so.
You are now.
Is it now? All right, good. I was asked by both the mayor and the director of administration to take a look at some of the technology that is currently being used for the sound monitoring system, and then try to evaluate how we can turn around and make it more transparent so we can actually turn around and take some of the call monitoring statistics, add it to the City of Franklin website, so then our citizens can turn around and peruse it directly from our website. The application that they're using right now, the sound monitoring system, is produced by a company called Larson and Davis. Clearwing is the project management company that actually did the installation of the sound monitoring system. And the application that they're using right now is basically loaded just on 2 desktops. It's a desktop-based application. It is a free application that was provided by the actual manufacturer for it, and therefore it actually does have some limitations. This was installed some time ago by Clearwing. Right now it's installed on 2 desktops, one here at City Hall and one at the police department. And this application is what we would call a closed base application, where it's not really designed to turn around and interface or integrate with any other systems, let alone a web server like the City of Franklin website for it. I also was looking at how, if I wanted to, turn around and install it onto another computer, because we don't have the software and we don't have the installation instructions. That was actually done by the installation vendor, Clearwing, some time ago. I believe somewhere around in 2019 is when they potentially may have actually did the installation of it. And like I said, it's only being used right now on two desktops, primarily Regulos down in the planning office for it. I think it was at one time installed on the planning manager's computer, but it has hence been ported to that single desktop for it. It does have a lot of restrictions. Probably one of the biggest ones is it retains only 14 days worth of data at one given period of time. So if you're not around to download that 14-day window from it, either someone at the Rock, hopefully who's monitoring it, is exporting the information over to a file, or the data is eventually going to be overwritten by the next several days worth of sound monitoring statistics being put by the actual sound monitors themselves. So I think that's a real big deficiency in the system. It doesn't preserve a long historical trend of data. You have 2 weeks, you have to export it out to a file. And if you want to see something that happened, let's say 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks ago, you actually have to import that data into a file, assuming you saved it, in order to turn around and actually do your analysis for it. We have looked at a application. It's a cloud-based application. They call it the SWW Data Service Portal for it. But it is a closed system designed by Larson and Davis for their particular sound monitors. One of the disadvantages is it's not open. It doesn't work with other third-party stuff down the road, but it is an easy turnkey solution to turn around and get off of the desktop application that we have today and basically do all of the data collection in the cloud instead for it. So it's a public portal, and it has 2 views. One view is that which a normal citizen would see. It's your general public view. And that will contain the current sound levels of all the monitors. It puts it on a nice little map, and you click the map on which sound monitor you want, and it'll show you the sound levels. It'll give you an actual spectrograph, a graph image of where all the sound levels are for that at that given period of time. And you can go back a couple of days. It doesn't go back weeks, but it does go back a couple of days to give you a point of reference of what the data is now and what the data was in the recent past for it. And there's also a generalized noise analyzer where it'll show you some outliers that are actually in that spectrograph image. The other side of this portal is an admin view for it, which gives you a lot more information for it. There you can go into a really advanced analyzer, spectrograph analyzer. It'll show you alarms. It'll show you events. An alarm is actually anything that goes over the threshold, where an event will be, there's a sound that would be a very perceived to be loud song, like an airplane going across the sky, and it'll record an MP3 file of those events. And you'll see it in the spectrograph. There's little dots over it, and you can literally go back and listen to those MP3 files to see what was going on at that given period of time on that particular sound monitor for it. One of the biggest advantages is it stores the data indefinitely in the cloud. So you can go back if you want an entire year and see what happened on it. You're not losing any of the data. Someone doesn't have to capture it to an export file. It's just all there immediately available in the cloud. It also has some battery view analyzers for it. So you can see, all right, if the sound monitor went down because of a power outage for it, or the battery got low because they are powered by solar panels on it. So you can get some reports. It has a whole gamut of built-in reports that you can also look at. And another nice feature of it is because it's cloud, it's easy to provision. No one has to set up any software on anybody's desk. All you have to do is give a user ID to it, and you can now turn around and actually view it. The cost of this is, in my opinion, fairly reasonable. It's $2,861 annually per sound monitor. So total cost would be $8,583 to turn around and actually migrate from the desktop version of the software and then turn around and put it over to the Portal Cloud. The only downside I see with it is it's a closed system. So it means it monitors Larson Davis sound monitors and only Larson Davis sound monitors. In case anyone's interested, a sound monitor is about $15,000 each for it. So they aren't cheap for it. So we want to try to maintain the investment that has been had thus far. It is not SOC 2 compliant from a security compliance standpoint, but I don't see that as a real issue for it. It's not like we're putting financial data out there on it. It is hosted by a company in Italy because Larson Davis is an international company. So the portal is actually being hosted in Italy in their data centers, actually in Italy at this point. And we also have to realize that each of the intervals, I get to put my little statistician's hat on, is an average, that they don't export out under the unit of time each of the individual samples for it. So you get an average of whatever the unit is, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, what that sound monitor was on an average level for that 5-minute period. You can't see at every second within that 5-minute interval the actual data points for it. So if you wanted to export that out, you have to realize from a statistics standpoint, you're exporting out the averages for that time unit out, and instead of an actual individual point for it. So that might change some of the analysis. Overall, I think it's a very good system. I definitely am in favor of turning around and moving forward with acquiring it and then moving it over to a cloud-based environment instead of an individual-based environment for it. And the biggest advantage is it would be relatively turnkey, that we could get it very quickly up and running over on the City of Franklin website once we actually turn around and have it running.
Thank you, Jim. I'll speak last. Alderman Barber?
Did you say our monitors wouldn't be compatible with that?
They would be.
It would be?
They would be. If we ever down the road, for whatever reason, wanted to go with a different sound monitor other than Larson Davis, most likely it would not work within their portal because this is a Larson Davis solution designed for Larson Davis equipment.
And that would be both the portable monitors, handheld monitors?
Yeah, the handheld monitors wouldn't integrate with it.
Pardon me?
The handheld monitors would not integrate with it.
And can I sit at home and watch it?
Yeah, you can.
I can look at a whole event, just sit there and,
As something's going on, you'll see live view of exactly what that particular sound monitor is doing while the event is occurring.
I can't imagine that'd be too exciting, but
Nobody wanted to judge you, Mike, but hey,
I have nothing else to do on a Friday, Saturday, or
Right.
Sunday night.
Hey, the writers were on strike.
Thank you.
Alderman Day.
Thanks, Jim. I just have two questions. The 2,800 and change that you said would be per monitor, does that include like no limit on cloud storage, or is there a finite amount of cloud storage that comes with that $2,800 price tag? And then if we go above that amount of storage, we have to pay an additional fee to keep
Good
increasing
question.
our cloud
No,
space?
it's infinite. So you pay it and your data will be retained for as long as you are a subscriber.
Okay, great, that's a good thing. And then my second question, you sort of alluded to it briefly, but I just want to make sure, sometimes our website is not the most intuitive. And I just want to make sure that this really will work on our website, as far as like our bandwidth to be able to have something like that running continuously.
It will be an SSL redirect.
Okay,
So what you do is there'll be a button on the page or menu, however, wherever they want to put it. And you click it and it literally sends your web browser over to a completely and totally different site. So we can
Okay.
either have it open up a different tab or just literally move your entire web session over to the web monitoring portal.
okay, thanks.
Alderwoman Eichman.
Jim, may I ask, I'm familiar with Clearwing, but may I ask Larson and Davis only? Is that the only company that's been contacted for bids on this, or?
We realize that they already spent $45,000 on that particular equipment, and swapping it out with probably completely different sound monitors with a different manufacturer, since it's being done on the dime of Rock Ventures at this time, is probably an unrealistic expectation that they aren't that old. So the trick is what if we have to preserve the equipment that's out there, and it is a good monitor. I mean, $15,000 piece of equipment's an expensive monitor. For it. So if we want to preserve the equipment, what would actually work with that equipment? We could look at an open-based system that would work with the Larson Davis sound monitor and would also work with other equipment, but we're also looking at a fast and quick and an easy solution to get the equipment that is there at that moment up and running.
Fast and easy solution is nice, but as far as the cost of it, is the city, we're paying for that? Are we splitting that with Rock Ventures, or?
To my understanding, Rock Ventures will be the one absorbing the cost.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Alderman Holfer.
That was my question. Who's ultimately responsible for the $8,500 a year?
And if I
Alderwoman
may,
Eichman.
thank you. And if I may, I would like to see a contract from the Rock signed with Jesse's approval on who is responsible
Right.
for the financial obligation of
That
that.
has always been the tricky part because the Rock is paying for it, so therefore it's their internal purchasing processes for turning around and acquiring it and signing the contract, because they are technically the system owner. They own the actual equipment for it. One of the things we'll have to be looking at is the administrative model. Just because they're the system owner, should they also be an administrator of the machine so they can actually turn around and make changes, either intentionally or unintentionally on it? And that'll be a discussion of defining that administrative model, but it has to be understood they are the system owner and they are moving through their own purchasing processes. That's why we haven't technically seen it through here. I could ask, and they may be very kind enough to provide us that documentation, but it is their purchase.
Since it's on the Rock property, correct? Thank you.
Okay, Alderman Craig.
Just a handful of just, I think, onesie twosie sort of questions here. When you talk about the implementation with the timeline, as far as that goes, very quickly turn around, what sort of timeline would you be looking at as far as being able to have this being visible for the public?
I don't see it as a large leap because you can build it in parallel easily. So you can, I think the longest thing would be the purchasing and the legal and signing the contract is normally where the drag in. Then it's just a matter of signing the contract and then getting on their agenda of turning around and setting up the accounts and then defining the administrators and then defining the monitors in the system. So I would predict it would probably be within a 2 to 4 week implementation window.
And then kind of going back to one of the things that you mentioned about, administrative control and things of that nature, would there be any sort of changes to the thresholds for the capture of those MP3 files where, once it reaches certain thresholds, that's when it captures? Or would it be something that?
So you're talking about the schedule of when the monitors are active and recording alarms and events, and then when does it go to sleep at night and it doesn't really record it because now it's at night and we're not going to have any events supposedly at 3 a.m. in the morning.
Hope not.
So you would hopefully, you can say, all right, monitors go to sleep and recharge. You don't have to turn around and be active 24/7. So as part of that, we'll be reviewing the time schedule that we have right now when the monitors are active for it. And then there'll be a question of, do we want to maintain the same time schedule or do we want to turn around and change it?
Gotcha. Will the visibility, will that be something that will translate onto mobile browsers, or will that be something that will be very much kind of hemmed into?
You can do it. I mean, you can do it, probably a bigger screen is a little bit easier because there's a lot of information
Sure.
that would actually be contained in it. But it is designed to work both on a standard web browser and a mobile browser.
Great. And then when, the talk of, any sort of the monitors at the $15,000 price tag as far as that goes. And you mentioned that these are very, quality pieces of hardware that we're talking about. At what point would you, and I know like this is starting to get a little bit outside of your purview as far as, best guess estimate as far as, hey, these are getting a little long in the tooth as far as usability and that.
That's a good question. That should come down to process. That when we look at this now, I'm looking at this from a technology standpoint, and that's primarily what most people have been looking at this from beginning to end as the project of it. They've looked at this as, let's get this up and running, let's get the technology in there, and never stopped and thought, all right, what is the business administrative model? Who is the system owner? Who is the process? And what can we define the process owner? And then what is the defined process on it? I would love to see a flow chart of some kind of what is the process down there for sound monitoring to begin with. And we have a lot of undefined processes here at City Hall. This is just one of many for it. And one of the things that needs to be concentrated on, particularly when we have a new planning manager come in, is what is the defined process for sound monitoring and what people are going to be involved in each phase of that process.
Thank you.
Jim, will the noise when they blow?
Alderwoman Eichmann, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. When snow is being blown and the ski hill, will that pick up on the sound monitor as well?
There's both the desktop software and the cloud-based has AI in it with noise filters, so it does recognize certain types of traffic and certain types of noise, and it does automatically filter it out.
Thank you. Weather conditions as well. If it's a day where it's really windy, the noise seems to travel further, or, there's really no way to monitor that, is there?
You would be monitored if you're looking outside of the parameters of, because the ordinance is where we leave the violations. That I think begins to come into a question. Do you ever want to put sound monitors outside of that perimeter area just so you get a better understanding of the data and the events and the circumstances around it? You can't hold anyone liable for sound statistics that you get outside of that facility, but then I think that does come into a question. Do you ever down the road ever want to monitor outside of that area?
Thank you.
Okay, so Jim, thank you. And to address an earlier comment, when we weren't sure if he was going to have a Friday update on this or not, and then when we talked late after this had already been out, that we were going to be going into the detail that which you went in, because there's questions that we do not know yet that we're working through on the process. But the bottom line, crystal clear goal here is to make it simple, user-friendly, and to also retain the data. So those are kind of like our goals and objectives going into this. We are going into it with more of as near future talks go with Mr. Zimmerman at the Rock, as far as, we only want, from the city's standpoint, we should be the only ones that have the ability to manipulate anything with this system, period. So it's on us to monitor, it's on us to gauge, it's on us to retain, it's on us, but that way there can't be a finger pointing that someone did this at 2 a.m. No. Here it is. It's us. We will monitor, we will govern, and then that information is shared to the world in an easy, user-friendly way. So that's the goal on this. Alderwoman Eichman.
I don't care for the word manipulation. However, as far as having other
Well, I'm
other
sorry.
venues that are having events in the city of Franklin, will we then in the future think of putting out sound monitors there as well?
I don't know, but go back to your manipulation. I'm saying that means nobody could even edit, be accused of messing with it. That's the whole reason that once we have it, it's locked down here, it's secured here. There can't even be the thought that it can be manipulated in any way, shape, or form, or edited, whatever semantically you want to accept.
How would
So-
we hold, I'm sorry to interrupt, Mayor, how would
Go
we
ahead.
hold the Rock accountable for that? It's on their
Well,
property.
it's because we've got the rights to how the entire, website works. It's their equipment sitting here, but once that lead information goes up and into the cloud, it becomes us. So that's how that would work. Mr. Olfer.
Before you close out of this, I did have a related question. At our special council meeting regarding Enchant that we had, it was designated, there was a number to call for complaints, and Laura Nelson was designated as the person that would be the contact. As Laura is leaving, do we have a replacement for that?
We will.
person?
I talked to her today as I go into this next part.
Great, thank you.
I believe Mr.
Alderwoman
Zimmerman
Eichmann.
had sent an email out to all of us with a contact number.
Well, okay, you still got the floor.
I yield.
So a couple things to add on. Thank you, Jim, by the way.
Yes.
So a couple things today, when we were doing this walkthrough at Enchant, in a related type field to see the event while it's still being built. And obviously, the discussion of sound was at the forefront after the comments on how wonderful it looks, because it is amazing. The current stadium audio system will not be in use. It will not be in use. There are these smaller speakers that are ground level or a foot off the ground that are mounted. I don't know who else went today and saw this. Anyone else other than Courtney see that today? Which was I thought was pretty smart, and that's was shown to be pretty successful because we couldn't hear anything. We were outside the stadium until we walked in and got into the bowl area. So that was very smart. I believe there's a sound check that was being done conducted tonight, and then one tomorrow between 11:30 and 1. I think, Dale, you were included on something with that? This email says the 20th evening tonight, and then tomorrow between 11:30 and 1. So that was with that. And the generators have been running for 2 weeks with no impact on decibel levels because they are actually encapsulated. So that was with that. Those are my notes. Any comments on that? And I would encourage all of you to attend one of those, if you can, the walkthrough and such. See nothing further. Thank you. Going on to item 2. Request council approval for the fire department to apply and accept a grant from the Kelman Cares Foundation for funding lightweight portable fire extinguishers for the elderly and other at-risk populations.
So move.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all is in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item G3, District Number 2. An ordinance to amend Table 15-3.0442C.1 and Table 15-3.0442D.2 of the Unified Development Ordinance Planned Development District Number 37, the Rock Sports Complex Ballpark Commons, to correct a reference within Table 15-3.0442C.1 related to dwelling unit size and to reduce the average dwelling unit size for a one-bedroom dwelling to 600 square feet. Department of City Development applicant at approximately the southeast corner of West Rawson Avenue and South Ballpark Drive.
Motion moved.
Motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all is in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Item G4, authorize the entrance into a membership agreement with the WISCNet Community Area Network for primary internet carrier services, account 46-0181-5846.9650. Mr. Director, you returned.
Now that we're getting close to the end of the installation of the fiber for it, that we're in the home stretch for it, I'm now actually spinning back on some of the original tasks that were actually being performed by Director Stino on it. I actually thought we had a WISCNet contract already signed with it, and only to turn around and look and find out, no, we never actually did sign a contract for WISCNet, who's going to be our new carrier. So WISCNet is a community area network. It is a nonprofit agency that does only educational and governmental and library institutions. They do not connect at all to the general public. They don't connect any way, shape, or form to any form of a commercial institution. It is only being used by government and educational facilities at that. They're unique in their ability to turn around and provide a very, very stable environment with internet and bandwidth for it, and to do so at an incredibly good price, because once you get over 10 gig under the pricing for it, it basically is unlimited. So if you wanted to put a 100 gig firewall, which is very expensive to do, but if you wanted a 100 gig internet connection, they would provide you with a 100 gigs internet connection, and they don't charge you any more than you would actually get if you were actually at 10 gig. If you look at some of the substantiating docs out there, and you go and you look at all of the communities throughout Wisconsin that are on WISCNet, it's a very, very, very extensive list. This is a very common carrier. We're one of the few in Milwaukee County that are not on it right now. And what we're going to be doing is we'll be using WISCNet as our primary carrier for internet services, and then we'll be using Spectrum is our backup carrier just in case the fiber optic WAN goes down, or we have to make repairs or modifications to it at a given period of time. So, or even if WISCNet went down, that we actually have an alternative path for our internet. The goal is to always make the fiber optic WAN 100% reliable from beginning to end.
Thank you.
Move to authorize.
Second.
I do have one.
Oh, Alderwoman Day.
I just have one question, Jim. It's a little bit related to this and the next item. You mentioned in here that our budget is a bit tight, but you believe that we can absorb the cost of this. If it happens to go over budget, where would we pull funds for that? Would it be the same as the next budget item that we would be pulling from?
It's the CARES money. The whole project is being done with CARES right now, so
So there would be, even if it runs over this, there is a bit to pull from.
there is a bit to both from, yes.
Thank you.
So we've got a first, Alderman Hofer is a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. G5, authorization to install fiber optic extension panels for City Hall and sewer and water utility. 2023 IS computer equipment capital outlay budget account 41-0144-5841. Sir, you still got the floor.
So move to authorize.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all is in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item 6, District 4. A resolution authorize Amendment 8 to Task Order 5 to Rupert and Milky, Inc. for miscellaneous development services within tax increment District Number 8 for a professional fee of $20,000. Mr. Morrow. Anything on that?
So TID 8 is our Franklin Corporate Park down in the southeast corner of the city. We have several developers that are kicking the can at various issues. We have some developers that are asking for some very detailed information, and we want to make sure that we accommodate them and we don't allow them to develop in a way that prohibits us from, doing our water and sewer and roadway system as we anticipated. So we've had one such request where we've had a look at, because someday we want to abandon our lift station, and we want to make sure that we accommodate them in such a way that we can allow them to develop and so forth. So, but some of those questions are beyond my capability to answer because of some of the CAD drawings and other things that we have. So I've asked our consultant, Ruker Milky, is very familiar with the area, to answer these questions. That's going to be about $10,000 to $12,000 worth of effort to do that. Just how much work it takes to do that. So I'm asking for a $20,000, limit as needed, so we can provide quick answers to these developers.
Okay, Mr. Holfer.
Would that cost be recoverable as development costs if projects go through?
Yes, it would be part of the TID reimbursables.
And if the projects don't go through, I'm assuming that these are pretty serious, better than 50-50 chances that the project will go through?
And it's very probable this one would go through, but even if it did not, this is good information. So should this development fall through, the next developer will probably come and want the same kinds of answers. So we'll be able to address those.
I just get concerned if it's up to $12,000 for one and you have multiple, I just want to make sure they're not all speculative.
No, they've been kicking the can on this development for close to a year now, or at least 6 months. So
Is there a motion on this?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
We've got a first and a second. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. G7, an ordinance to amend ordinance number 2022-2521, an ordinance adopting the 2023 annual budget for the TID 8 Capital Projects Fund to provide $20,000, $20,000 in appropriations for development services. This will be a roll call vote. Madam Finance Director.
Need a motion first?
Well, I thought she was going to.
This is just a budget amendment for the prior agenda item.
Excellent. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
We've got a first and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Hopfer.
Aye.
Alderwoman Eichman.
Aye.
Alderman Hassan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Day.
Aye.
Alderman Barber.
Aye.
And Alderman Craig.
Aye.
6 ayes, no, motion carries. Item G8, an ordinance to amend ordinance 2022-2521, an ordinance adopting the 2023 annual budget for the general fund to move $18,100 of severance payments appropriations to maintenance building personnel services appropriations.
So moved.
Second.
We've got a first, Mr. Craig, seconded by Mr. Barber. This will also be a roll call vote.
Alderman Craig.
Aye.
Alderman Barber.
Aye.
Alderwoman Day.
Aye.
Alderman Hassan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Eichman.
Aye.
Alderman Hopfer.
Aye.
6 ayes, no noes, motion carries. Item G9, operations update for the Department of City Development. Would you like to speak on this? Nothing, we're just going to accept and place on file, but if anybody's got any questions about this?
Just the timeline of where we are with the hiring process.
We haven't began.
Are you thinking like after the first of the year because of the holidays and whatnot? That would be
Right,
my
and
recommendation at
being
this point,
mindful of
yeah.
the budget too.
Well, I can touch on that. Are you talking about the planning manager?
Yeah.
Position? Okay, specifically just to speak on that one, yes, we are just starting because we're going back to, the original vendor that provided us, the last candidate is willing to cut us an extremely good deal on this to at least start that process. And because of the budget, we wouldn't be filling it until after the first of the year anyway. But this my plan is again to bring in and incorporate all electeds that wish to be involved in the interview process as we did last time, to keep it open, transparent, and we have buy-in. So if anything, could I have something, a motion to place on
So
file?
move.
Second.
Maybe first, second. Eichman, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. All districts, a resolution authorizing the city to execute a contract for professional services with Root Pike Win for an information education program for meeting the 2024-2025 Department of Natural Resources Stormwater Permit requirements for a not-to-exceed fee of $11,800. Mr. Morrow.
City has a open permit with the Department of Natural Resources for stormwater related issues. So we not only investigate issues when developers or residents are not complying with erosion control and so forth, but one of the requirements is that we have to somehow publicize the fact that we need to be nice to our stormwater, not make it dirty, if you will. Root Pike Wind has traditionally done this for us. They have a whole campaign, radio, TV spots, Facebook ads. They send dress-up dogs to various functions, and we've had them here at Franklin for several functions in the past. And if they did not do this for us, the staff would have to perform it. So it's a very good deal for us. We actually have this budgeted. I think our budget is $12,500. So the new contract for 2 years is $11,781 per year. So this is actually under budget.
Very good. We have a
Move to
motion.
approve?
Second.
We've got a first and a second. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item G11, 2024 proposed budget. Right now, we'll go with Madam Finance Director.
So again, this is just on the agenda for any discussion that anybody may have. Next Tuesday on the 28th, the final adoption for the budget will be held at 6:30 along with the public hearing. So if anybody has any questions, I'm here to answer. Otherwise, we'll just have that final meeting on the 28th.
28th at 6:30 PM for those at home.
And next year, Mayor,
Alderwoman Eichman?
we
you have the floor.
will, obviously, next year we'll be more mindful of the time dates. We don't have to have a special meeting on this, of all the public hearings should have been put into
You'd still have one
publication.
regardless.
Yeah.
You'd be regardless, you were gonna,
It's, in the past, though, I don't believe in a special meeting. Or
Yes.
committee of the whole.
done special meetings.
No, we just ended up having it 2 weeks late this year because of my mistake. I forgot to let the clerk's office know about publicizing it, so.
You've been working hard.
I appreciate that, but yeah, so that's,
It all.
yeah, there's always been a special meeting held for the public hearing, but we're just doing it 2 weeks late this year.
Thank you.
Other than 2 weeks, it's been that way
Yeah.
for 100 years. Alderman Barber,
100 years.
since
I
1956.
would go with that.
1956. Sorry, it's coughing, can't hear.
Are there, since we were handed the book, what changes, if any, have happened, and can we have a list of that? Is what is happening when we come into this meeting, so we can just kind of do a quick review of it ahead of time, or at the meeting?
Sure, yeah. So I am going to finish finalizing the agenda items for the 28th meeting, and I am planning to give that to Shirley or the clerk's office by 9 a.m. tomorrow. I can add that in there. There is the list of the changes that were approved on November 7th. And I do see a couple additional changes that will need to be approved on the 28th. After the budget is approved on the 28th, then you will have a whole new adopted budget book that I will provide for you.
Just to know what was changed
Yep, it'll be just a one-pager.
long ago. That-
Yep. Yeah, it'll be included in your packet.
Madam Director said she'll do the one page with the updates and changes. Mr. Holford, did you go? No hands? Mike, you good? Okay. No action be taken. Item G12, Alderman District 6 coming up. A resolution authorize We Energies to convert 3 high-pressure sodium lights to LED lights for $50.
So move.
Second,
Oh, you took his thunder.
I'll concede.
You'll consider, okay, Alderman Craig, seconded by
me.
Alderwoman Eichman. Any further discussion? No. Seeing none, all is in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. This goes back to District 4. A resolution to Clear Cut Lawn Services LLC to perform maintenance on the South 35th Street culvert over the Oak Creek Waterway for $20,175. Do we have any, Tyler's not here. Glenn, Mr. Morrow, do you have anything on this?
Sure.
Could you give an
We had
overview?
anticipated doing something with this. We had budgeted $35,000 for this year. There's a double box culvert. The northern box has about 1.5 feet of sediment in it. And so we were finding someone that can remove that sediment without disturbing the issues that DNR cares about on the outside of that area. So we're just trying to increase the capacity of the culvert.
Thank you. Is there a motion on this?
I'll move to
Oh,
approve.
Questions first?
Questions first, Mr. Hofer.
Is this something that typically you think we would have the capability to do?
Really, no, because it requires a permitting through DNR, and so this gentleman is available to do that. The equipment, we don't have the specialized equipment. It would require a lot of hand digging. It'd be hard to flush it because then your sediment would go downstream. So we're trying to remove it in such a way to not cause that to go downstream. So we don't have the equipment that this person has to scoop that out.
Yeah, it looks pretty intensive with dewatering and all the silt
horrible.
fence and all that, so.
We'll do that.
I just wanted to know if it was something that would be normally in our purview and we just didn't have time, but evidently not.
If it were a true bridge, something we could maybe get down and get a bucket, we could maybe do that, but not this situation.
I would move to approve.
We have a first? Oh,
No, I was the first.
so Courtney's first, Courtney's the,
Second. Don't have a.
okay, how about this? Let's start over.
Where was I?
Alderwoman Day is the first. Alderman Hofer, how about a second from you? Any further discussion? Well, she just said she first did, so I'm not going to argue with her. Do we have a first and now we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. You can be the third, Michael. Item 14, 2024 Professional Services Agreement between the City of Franklin and Racine County for services to verify a certified soil tester's soil and site evaluation.
So moved.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Going into 15 here, unless there's going to be something that you believe before we go in, if we need to or not, I'm recommending not go into a closed session and taking the advice of staff on here. If you think we need to go into closed session to any further discussion, then we will. If not, if there's no entertainment to go into closed session, we'll then just go right into action on this.
Go to action.
All right, I agree. So what would be the motion on here? Motion to deny? Mr. City Attorney, would you clarify that motion, what needs to be done?
Motion would be the second potential motion on the council action requested motion to the as written on the council action.
Okay, so that'd be a good motion. Do we have a motion on that?
So move.
Barber's first,
Motion to deny.
I second.
Hassan second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all's in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Well done. All right, licenses. Alderwoman Day,
I'll take it.
under H.
License Committee met this evening. We have recommended approval unanimously of all 8 operators, as well as the public grant. So recommending approval, unanimous vote this evening.
A second. Can I add to that though, Alderwoman, if you don't mind?
Sure.
We did not have, just for the record, we did not have the recorder. So the meeting was not officially recorded when it was held, in case that needs to be noted.
Thank you.
The clerk's office will get our notes, though, so they will have all of that.
Thank you.
Someone has gone in with the gavels too. So we've got a first and a second. How about a roll call vote for this?
Alderman Craig.
Aye.
Alderman Barber.
Aye.
Alderwoman Day.
Aye.
Alderman Hassan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Eichman.
Aye.
Alderman Hopeful.
Aye.
Hopfer.
6 ayes on those, motion carries. Going on to item I as in Ida. Motion approving the following. City vouchers with an ending date of November 16, 2023, the amount of $1,379,268.62. Point 2, payroll dated November 17, 2023, the amount of $465,988.98. And payments of the various payroll deductions in the amount of $454,294.10, plus city matching payments. And, final point, estimated payroll dated December 1st, 2023, in the amount of $465,000 and payments of the various payroll deductions in the amount of $255,000 plus city matching payments. there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Hopper and Hassan, roll call, please.
Alderman Hopper.
Aye.
Alderwoman Eichman.
Aye.
Alderman Hassan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Day.
Aye.
Alderman Barber.
Aye.
Alderman Craig.
Aye.
6 ayes, no motion carries. It is now 7:30 PM. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So
Motion,
moved.
second.
We've got a first Hopper, a second Eichmann. All those in favor? Any opposed? We are adjourned at 7:30. Well done, everybody.
Taking the under today.
We are getting up and out of here.
Carry on.
Recording stopped.
Yay! Someone did steal 2 gavels from up here. So this is the old one. Go on.